Alrighty, so working hypothesis so far of the cheese. I'm going to show you something. So I typically make a safe spot when I'm passing 10K, but the cheese spot maybe a little bit difficult to do. Yeah, that's not far enough. I need it to be at least 400 from the fob itself. Cheese. That should do it. All right, so cheese. There we go. All right, everybody here. Okay. This is the second time I've done this, so what we're going to do is we'll warp everybody there. I'm going to warp to the safe spot. Turn on my hardness. Hit my reload button on the ammo. All right, so everybody's there. Okay, let's get you approaching Stronghold. So as long as I'm outside of 365 from the Pirate Stronghold, nothing will spawn. But I'm inside the danger zone of 1,500 kilometers, which you will be aggressed on by the defense fleet. All right, and I will warp the derp. I will warp my non-combats out to there, and I'll warp in G-spot. Okay, all right. So my non-combat is safe. It won't be aggressed on, ever. Well, there are exceptions, but for our intents and purposes, we don't have to worry about that. So, okay, so the theory is that I've got my guys at an ambush site, and there's only... Yeah, we're going to test. I'm fairly sure this is not going to work. But this is how you would typically cheese a fob. Warp. I'll go dock up and get my ship. I should have done that first. All right, so what will happen is we'll see it looks to be a battleship spawn. The crews will show up. And the battleships. And then they'll starburst out to us. Remote repping, because typically rats will target the remote repping first before anything else. And that should save my support vessels from being shot at. There's 2 crews, and the APOX will starburst to 100 kilometers and start sniping. Typically the remote repping things. Now's the test. Will anything else spawn? Because if it doesn't, we have total... Oh, shit. No. Okay, so it's not going to work. It absolutely will not work. So what we've done is yeah. So basically it's not going to work to totally cheese the system. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so the theory now is solid now. The theory is that not only does the Pirate Stronghold have a spawn range for the defense fleet of 365, the defense fleet extends that spawn radius around itself as well. 100%. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. So you can just simply send one ship in to trigger it. Hell, you can have to send your scout in there, trigger it, and come back to the cheese point. And at that point, you are able to gank everything and deal with it. We will target the omens as well. And typically what I expect is that anything else won't be targeted, like my Atron or my hyena, or now something else will spawn for this as well. There, Kruger, and another omen. So yeah, it's definitely 100% extending the spawn range. So let's kill this. Should be easy enough because there's no augers spawning. Yay! And if it did, we have ECM here. And of course I've got webbing, so I'll web down the Grurs. And it's even easier because I've got the hyena here. I can just assist the drones to the hyena. I'll do that now. Blap. What's the range on this? Consume for 91. I could jam out those epochs. That'd be hilarious. No, I only save it for the augers. Pew pew. Blap. Yeah, typically I wouldn't care. I'd be right on the fob, killing it, and ignoring the omens and battleships. You don't get any ISK for the defense fleet at all, ever. Sometimes it'll list bounty, but you won't get it. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. Whatever. You're gonna get webbed. Rip. So yeah, typically fast tackle. We'll head out to the apox and orbit them, web and long point them and all that good stuff. And since you have MGDs on your main DPS, you can just MGD out to the victim and gank it. Yeah, that's how it works. And you won't lose lock. Oh, what am I doing? drones. Drones, switch ammo. What are we looking at here? That one. Da-da-da. F8, F8, F8. Pew pew. There we go. And be aware that even though you're approaching the APOC, you won't be aligning the APOC. You'll be aligning in the direction that you're originally heading. So just hit approach, so you don't get out of range. Easily do so. Okay. And typically the APOCs will starburst. But if you can get warp disrupt on them, they can't get away. And this one should starburst. I have no idea. This could be the anchor. I'm not really sure about battleship anchoring, unlike the Omen anchoring. But yeah, this is how you pretty much kind of cheese it at range. Oh, and do be aware that once you MGD, if your cycle is ending on any of your modules, it will turn them off. But otherwise, yeah, they'll stay on. And you won't lose lock or drone connectivity too. So let's get tackle on that guy. He's probably going to get away. No, got him. Sucker. They didn't go down quick. There's no active tank. It's all passive. Yeah, so that's how you cheese it. Unfortunately, anything at that cheese spot will spawn defense fleet reinforcements. So do be aware of that. Yeah, like if you had a Nestor there, that would be bad. If you had a Marauder there, that would be bad. But yeah, if you had a whole bunch of Myrmidons there, it'll probably spawn a bunch. So yeah. Yeah, and the great thing is, once you've killed everything, everybody who's been there and has a spawn happen for them can simply warp in onto the fob and just gank it. And at that point, all it's got is neutralizing on you. It's, yeah, you just annihilate it. Well, do be aware that the hauler will show up and you've still got its response fleet, I call it response fleet, to deal with. So in that sense, it's not a cakewalk, so to speak. Once it shows up and flees, that's when the response fleet will show up. And typically it's frigates. But it should be no problem. You guys shouldn't have too much issue repping each other against the Punishers. Do the most DPS, and they've got Inquisitors for Logi. Uncommonly, there's an Omen spawn that can have, you know, Ashimus and Augurs with them. Typically, that's not what happens. Rarely, you'll get a battleship spawn and a close range Balgorn. Those are scary. But yeah, this is how to cheese it as well as you can cheese it. And I'm sure you guys have got your own versions of this, but as long as you are outside, yeah. And besides, the nice thing about splitting the spawnage is that you could get omens for the deep that initial ship that warps in and spawns a set amount, a large amount of ships, and then the rest of the spawns could be different types. They could be, you know, omens, cruisers, and then you get battleships, and then never the twain shall meet. They don't cooperate, so it can be kind of cheesy that way. But yeah, I mean that would be the best way of dealing with it. Well, the best way to dealing with it, do the way I do it, annihilate it, and not care about the defense or the response fleet, within reason, right? Oh yeah. I wouldn't suggest using Logi at the cheese spot. It's simply because Logi will spawn more, but you won't contribute to the DPS, right? It might be fun. You could totally do it. But I would recommend remote repping, spider tanking, Myrmidons, or anything like that. Don't do Nestors. Try not to do Marauders. It's doable. But you will spawn more. And if you've got a lot of them, yeah, it would just, yeah. Be prepared to warp away and have MJDs and all that stuff. But yeah. Rats like to target Marauders first, then remote repping stuff. So typically, if you've got a Marauder and or remote reppers, your light stuff typically will be ignored for the most part. Don't count on it, but yeah. And then once the defense fleet is taken care of, you can just warp in and yeah, kaboom. Anyways, that's me done. Merry Christmas. I hope this present is useful to you guys. But yeah, warp, like, get the bookmark, like, get the cheese bookmark, get the safe spot bookmark for the non-combats, get everybody you want to help gank things at the cheese spot or at the safe spot. Once they're there, warp in one guy, warp quickly back to the cheese spot, and then, well, I would have the core team of remote reppers who are experienced at the cheese spot. warp that scout in, then back, spawn something. The defense fleet that has spawned will warp a starburst out and then to the scout, which will trigger a defense fleet reinforcement wave for whatever's there. And you can kill that and slowly warp more and more combat power onto the field that want to eventually go and, or just dribble in your fleet until everybody's there, everything's killed, and then you en masse warp in. I believe the response fleet is a fixed number and not dependent on your fleet number. You can quote me in criticizing if I'm wrong, but I am almost 100% certain the response fleet is a fixed amount. It's just different types. Pretty sure. Let's pause. Pretty sure about that. But yeah. The salvage is useless. There's nothing in these wrecks. Typically, you'll probably get like $500,000 for this. It's just completely useless. I wouldn't bother. And I won't get a single iota of tax. I mean, rat payment at all, except for the response fleet. But that's typically just frigates. So yeah, there you go. That's it. Happy New Year too.